The silence before the storm. The stars shimmered silently beyond the great windows of the Galactic Council Hall. Dozens of alien leaders sat at a massive circular table, their voices low, their eyes filled with concern. Something had changed. Something big. And it had a name: humanity. For hundreds of years, the Galactic Council had ruled with confidence. Their fleets were unmatched, their laws absolute. Every species in the known galaxy respected, or feared, the Council. That balance began to crack the day humans entered Council space. Humanity was late to join the stars. Their home planet, Earth, had been isolated, primitive by galactic standards. But within just a few decades, they had advanced faster than any other race ever had. And no one could explain how. At first, the Council didn't pay much attention. Another young species trying to play catch-up? It happened often. But when human patrol ships easily outmaneuvered Council vessels, curiosity turned to concern. Then came the whispers of a new kind of ship, a warship powered by something no other species could control: dark matter. Council science teams claimed it was impossible. Dark matter was untouchable, unstable, beyond use. But somehow, humanity had cracked the code. The Council ordered an investigation. A small scout fleet was sent to the edge of human territory. They never returned. Panic slowly crept into the halls of power. More fleets were sent, this time larger, better armed. Each one vanished without a trace. No distress signals, no debris, no survivors, just silence. And now, in this moment, that silence filled the Council Hall. Every alien leader sat frozen as the large holoscreen flickered to life. A signal was being transmitted from deep within the human border. The screen displayed a single figure, standing tall in a sleek black uniform. Behind them floated a massive dark ship, its surface rippling like a living shadow. No engine glow, no visible weapons. Just a giant, silent beast in space. The human didn't speak at first. They let the image linger. Let fear do its work. Then they said 3 simple words: "Your time's over." The screen cut to black. Gasps and shouts filled the chamber. Some demanded a full-scale war. Others whispered of surrender. A few simply sat in silence, knowing deep down the truth. This was no longer their galaxy. But how had it come to this? What made humans so different? How did they unlock the power of the universe's greatest mystery? The Council didn't know, but they were about to learn. The dark matter warships were no longer hiding. They were moving, and they were coming. The first contact battle. 3 hours after the human transmission, panic spread across the Galactic Council like wildfire. Emergency beacons flared, defense codes were activated, and border fleets scrambled to their stations. At Sector 19, the closest defense line to human space, Commander Brell stood aboard the bridge of the Sunclaw, the largest dreadnought in Council territory. His crew was tense. Every sensor was on high alert. There had been no warning, no sign of ships approaching. But everyone knew something was coming. Then, suddenly, the stars blinked, not disappeared. Blinked. For a brief second, half the stars in the viewing screen vanished. And then came the signal. No voice, just a low pulse that shook every deck of every ship in the sector. A sound they felt in their bones. Then the fleet appeared. They didn't warp in. They didn't break through a gate. They just manifested. A line of black, angular ships now floated across the border. Massive, silent, and unlike anything seen before. They didn't glow. They didn't pulse. They absorbed light instead of reflecting it. They were made of something that seemed to bend reality, and they didn't open fire. They just waited. Commander Brell shouted orders. Hundreds of ships locked weapons. Missiles were armed, energy cores charged. With a single wave of his hand, Brell gave the order: attack. The Council fleet launched everything it had. Thousands of energy blasts lit up the darkness. Plasma torpedoes streaked toward the human ships like shooting stars. Explosions burst against their hulls. But the human ships didn't move. They didn't even shield. The weapons hit and vanished. No detonation, no impact, like the space around the human ships swallowed them whole. Then the dark matter fleet responded. One of the ships tilted slightly. It didn't fire. Instead, the space in front of it cracked like glass and a single bolt of pure black shot forward, quiet as a whisper. The Sunclaw split in two. No sound, no warning. One moment it was whole, the next, two pieces drifted apart slowly, glowing from the inside, as if the laws of matter had just given up. Silence returned. The rest of the council ships hesitated. Then the humans vanished again, just like before. No trace, no warp signature, no trail. Sector 19 was lost. But not through destruction, through fear. Back at the council core, reports came in fast. Other boarders had seen the same thing, ships appearing. A single display of power, then vanishing. This wasn't just a war. It was a message. Humanity didn't want planets. They didn't want treaties. They didn't even want revenge. They wanted to prove something, that they were no longer the newcomers. They were the new rulers. The secret that changed it. All long before the warships appeared, there had been rumors, quiet ones, about human. Research in the outer regions of their space, strange energy signatures, disappearances of their own ships. The council dismissed it as experimental failure or internal accidents, but one council observer, an old scientist named Dren, had taken interest in the patterns. While most feared humans for their rapid rise in military strength, Dren feared their silence. No broadcasts, no requests, no alliances. They weren't expanding like the others. They were evolving. Years ago, Dren had intercepted a transmission, encrypted in a language not native to the council network. It was human. Short, fragmented, but chilling. Test 47 complete, containment stable. Dark core rotating at 1.2 pulse cycles. Fold space achieved. Fold space. That term didn't exist in any known science. Dren kept the message hidden. He tried to warn the others, but the council had grown arrogant. They believed no species could catch up so fast. But now, as dark matter ships silently moved across the border zones, his fears had come alive. What humanity discovered wasn't just a new fuel. It wasn't a new engine or a new type of shield. It was a rewrite of physics, their own version of space. They had created ships that didn't exist in the same reality. Vessels that slipped through layers of space like water through cracks. Weapons that didn't fire projectiles. They collapsed probability. To most races, dark matter was a mystery. Untouchable. Theoretical. To humans, it had become home. They didn't just harness it. They built their civilization around it. And the council had done nothing to prepare. Inside the main chamber, council members argued loudly. Some demanded immediate surrender. Others shouted for total retaliation. One leader suggested a meeting, an offer of peace. But what could they offer? Borders? Technology? Humans already had everything they needed. And then, the human fleet returned, not in battle formation this time, but right over the skies of Naraxis, the council capital. They hovered, watching, waiting, not firing. And once again, a single transmission came through. "We are not your enemy, we are your replacement. No threats, no demands, just a truth." And the galaxy trembled again. Collapse without fire. The skies above Naraxis were filled with shadows. 12 human dark matter warships hovered silently in low orbit, their surfaces moving like waves, as if they were not made of metal, but some dark fluid substance. No, weapons glowed. No threat signals were broadcast. Still, every being on the planet below was paralyzed. Cities came to a halt. Transport stopped mid-air. Council towers flickered with warning lights. News channels across dozens of worlds called it the standstill. But the humans didn't attack. They didn't need to. Inside the Grand Council chamber, panic had turned into fear, and fear into something far worse, division. Some members screamed that surrender was the only chance. Others, desperate to save their power, urged a preemptive nuclear strike. The rest had no words left at all. They simply stared at the ships above, silently realizing what was already true. The war was over before it began. The collapse of the Council was not caused by weapons or invasion. It came from within. Smaller factions began withdrawing support. Communications from distant systems went quiet. Planets that once proudly flew the Council banner now asked to negotiate with Earth directly. Loyalty died without a single shot. In the halls of command, alarms no longer mattered. Meetings became useless. And then, the message came. Not from Earth, not from a human, but from a Council world known for its neutrality. Veltron. Their message was simple. The Council no longer serves peace. It serves fear. We withdraw from its rule and recognize humanity as the new stewards of balance. That message was repeated again and again. Dozens of worlds echoed it. The Council, the body that once united the stars, began to dissolve before the dark matter ships even moved an inch. And still, the humans said nothing. They waited, letting the galaxy break itself apart. To them, this was not conquest. This was the natural consequence of arrogance. A warning, now realized. For centuries, the Council ruled because no one could challenge them. Now someone could, and did, not with words, but with understanding. With science that bent the laws of existence. With silence that shattered empires. The origin of the impossible. Long before the galaxy noticed, humanity had vanished from the public eye. Not physically, but diplomatically. No more outreach, no more trade missions. They stopped attending council talks. Their ships were rarely seen outside their own systems. At the time, many assumed humans had accepted their place. Others thought Earth was collapsing under its own ambition. In truth, they had done something far more dangerous. They had gone dark, completely cutting off their systems, hiding energy signals, blocking probes, and feeding false data into satellite grids. What no one realized was that behind that silence they were building the impossible. It began deep within a forgotten asteroid field near a red dwarf star. There, scientists and engineers created something no alien species dared to attempt. A stable dark core, a synthetic mass of concentrated dark matter, bound and spun by fields that didn't exist in nature. They failed, many times. Entire stations were lost. Crews were consumed by spatial folds or driven mad by time distortions. But humans kept trying, because that's what humans do. They don't stop at what is. They chase what could be. And then, it worked. The first dark core engine was activated on a small ship called Resolve. It blinked out of existence in one place, and appeared halfway across the solar system without crossing the space between. No warp gate, no trail. The Council never saw the test. They only found the broadcast, hidden in Earth's deep archives years later. A scientist, calm, exhausted, her voice shaking with awe, said just one thing. Space is no longer a path. It's a canvas. After that, the next phase began. Integration. Human engineers didn't just build ships, they redesigned them entirely. No visible weapons, no traditional propulsion. Every hull was made of a material that responded to space-time distortions. These ships didn't travel. They folded the distance. More terrifying than their speed was their armor. The dark matter. Coating didn't just deflect energy, it ignored it. Weapon systems, detection tech, gravity fields, all became useless against a warship that existed in more than one dimension at once. But the most dangerous part? These ships didn't need commanders. Each dark fleet vessel was run by a quantum AI, neither alive nor machine, but something in between. They processed time differently, fought with strategies before enemies could think of them. The moment humans launched these ships, they didn't just catch up to the Council, they surpassed them by 1,000 years, and they waited, silent, hidden, until the Council forgot what fear felt like. Then they returned. The last stand of Vaeltrin across the crumbling territories of the former council. Most species surrendered quietly, their governments choosing survival over pride. But not. Vaeltrin was old, older than the council itself. Once a mighty empire that ruled dozens of systems, its people were proud, disciplined, and fiercely loyal to their heritage. They had joined the council not out of need, but to keep balance. Now, with the council fractured and humanity silent, above, Vaeltrin chose to resist. They activated an ancient defense protocol, one not seen in centuries. Project Stonefire. Buried beneath their homeworld's crust, hidden from scanners, was a weapon older than most of the galaxy's modern fleets. A fusion of gravity fields and temporal shockwaves capable of turning orbit into molten storms. It wasn't elegant. It wasn't smart. But it was raw ancient power. They sent a message to Earth. We will not kneel, we are not afraid, come if you dare. Within hours, one dark matter warship appeared above Vaeltrin. Just one. The skies darkened, clouds cracked. Gravity sensors spun wildly. Vaeltrin launched Stonefire. The ground erupted in red light. A beam of condensed planetary energy roared upward, tearing through the sky with a scream of atmosphere and heat. It struck the human ship and passed right through it. The weapon didn't fail. It worked perfectly. But the dark matter ship didn't react. It didn't move. It didn't even flicker. It was not there, at least not in the way Vaeltrin thought. Then, the human ship responded, not with fire, but with a signal. A pulse. Suddenly, every screen, crystal, and broadcast device on the planet lit up with a single visual. The future. Cities gone. Oceans lifted. Sky turned to ash. Not as a threat, but as a mathematical projection, a simulation, a cold, clinical display of what would happen if the war continued. No threats, no anger, just certainty. Vaeltrin's leaders stood in silence. They had faced defeat before, but never by being shown their own extinction with such calm. And still, the ship did not attack. After 20 minutes, the human warship disappeared. No demands, no reply. Just mercy, the kind that says we could have, but we didn't. The next morning, Vaeltrin surrendered. Their leader sent a galaxy-wide transmission. We faced the storm and found it was not war, it was evolution. We yield, not out of fear, but out of reason. Humanity is no longer a species, it is a force of nature. And so one of the oldest empires bent the knee, not through defeat, but through understanding. The New Order. The galaxy was quiet now. No battles, no resistance. The last embers of war had faded, not through destruction, but through something far rarer, acceptance. One by one, the Council's members either surrendered, retreated, or dissolved. Planets that once shouted for war now sent quiet messages to Earth requesting dialogue. Not peace treaties, coexistence plans. They didn't beg for mercy, they asked for understanding. And then, for the first time in many weeks, Earth spoke. Human representative, calm, unarmed with eyes that held the weight of knowing too much, appeared on every galactic channel. Behind them was not a warship, but a living garden. Earth itself, green and full of life. They did not speak of victory. They spoke of responsibility. We did not build these ships to rule you. We built them to defend ourselves from what comes next. The galaxy is changing. The walls of our universe are thinning. What lies beyond them is not kind. Whispers spread like fire. Many didn't understand. Others thought it was a trick. But deep inside, every species felt the same truth. Humanity had not risen to destroy. They had risen to prepare. Dark matter technology wasn't just about power. It was about survival. The humans had seen something in the dark, something that had no name. And while the Council had fought over titles and trade routes, Earth had spent its silence building a shield not just for itself, but for everyone. The human speaker finished with one final statement. We are not your masters. We are your wall. Stand with us or stand behind us, but know this, what comes. We'll not care who ruled before. And with that, the transmission ended. No demands, no threats, just an invitation. From that day forward, the council was no more. In its place rose a new union, the Core Accord, founded not on dominance but on shared survival. And at its center stood Earth, silent and watching, its ships drifting like shadows beyond the stars. Humanity didn't conquer the galaxy. They outgrew it, and in doing so, they became its guardians.